Alright, hello. So, this video might be a little long, and this series of videos is going to be broken into two parts. So I really hope you enjoy it. So, recently I've been thinking about the problems with Warframe, and there are problems, obviously. All games have problems. And I've been thinking about ways to alleviate, like, what I view as being, like, the main problems with the game. And I came to the conclusion that at the forefront of problems with Warframe, we have a problem with matchmaking. Matchmaking is A, for structured content, we have recruiting. This one. We have recruiting. Recruiting is slow and not fun to use. Just out and out. Recruiting is slow and not fun to use. Just typing that into chat, waiting and just watching text scroll by. It's not fun. There are reasons for it with trading because it actually affects how pricing works, and the ease of trading affects how like markets can function. But for recruiting, there's no real reason for it to be clunky. That just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I have devised an overhaul to kind of fix matchmaking. And the other way, worth noting, that we matchmake is you go onto a planet and you look at the nodes. And if I'm not on invite only and I'm on public, it'll show me this is an open squad of 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0. Now here's the thing about that. Alleviating that problem is important. It's very important to alleviate there just being nodes that nobody plays. And the thing about there being nodes that nobody plays is that there are players that do play these nodes throughout the day. I'm sure that there's a node that's not very popular that is being played right now, like perhaps on Europa, Veil 4. Well, no, that's an excavation. That's probably reasonably popular. This hijack. I'm sure this probably isn't super popular. Sorath, there's one open squad on Sorath. Someone is playing this. It might only be 1 or 2 people. And filling those parties and overall filling the star chart is really very important. And being able to play with other people is kind of part of the huge draw of the game. And I think that Warframe is more fun when you are playing with other people. So I've devised Matchmaking 2.0 to fill out the star chart, to reward players, and to get you into games faster. Much faster. So the first part we're going to go over is just randomly matching with people. We have a really hard time with just randomly matching, because we don't have like a just put me in a mission button. We don't have that, and if we had that at just face value of just put me in any mission that I can go to, it would be not used very much, because why would you go to those missions as opposed to just being like, oh, well, I'm going to run Huracan, I'm going to do some solo excavation and get myself some endo. That's a problem. So I've devised this whole big system that we're going to go over. And we're going to go over random matching in this video. I'm going to have another video for structured stuff because that's a little more complicated and that video is going to be very, very long. But the first thing that I've devised is called star charting. Star charting would appear up here, like next to like all your alerts and stuff. It would be a breakout button, like a button that just says star charting. And the first time a new player would press that, it would elaborate upon them what the fuck that is, because that's a good place to put a tutorial. It's just you click a button and you go, I don't know what this does. And then it opens it up and it tells you what it is. And I'm going to tell you what I think would be really good. So star charting, if you click it, it would enter you into a pool of star charters. That's obviously all these names, real rough. Just with some real basic stuff because the system is the thing that we're focused on here. The naming conventions, throw them out the window, name them whatever you want. Don't care. So the star chart system, whenever you're in that, when you are a star charter, it would attempt to place you into a mission you haven't completed and into parties that have open slots. Which means the goal of like having you be a star charter is to fill parties that already exist on the star chart, but also giving priority to missions you haven't completed. So there are a couple missions that I have not completed since the star chart got its rework, such as Cholistan. So if there was an open party here, it would prioritize putting me into Cholistan because I haven't completed it yet, and I can get some completion from that. So at a face value, it would help you complete your star chart, make progress, but also put you into a party with other players. And also, if you're in a star charters group, if, like, let's say there's a bunch of people in star charters, and 4 of us haven't completed Cholistan, it would just put us together and send us there. It would just be like, oh, you guys haven't done that. Go do that. That is a very fast and easy way just to get you into a mission. Just Boom, you're doing a thing. You're making progress. You're doing a mission. And that's all there is to it. The restrictions, or what you could place restrictions on this, such as what mastery rank you want to like be the minimum that you match with, what level you want the mission to be, what type of mission you want to match into. Putting those restrictions, like just like in a breakout menu, be like, oh, what level ranges do you want? What mastery rank do you want the minimum to be, so you don't match with newer players? And we'll go over stuff with newer players in a second with a completely different thing. And then mission type, because the mission type is obviously important. It's like, I want to play an excavation right now, so you just be like, I want to do excavation star charter, or star chart. Like, just click the star chart button, or whatever it ends up being named, if this were to actually exist. And it would just put you into an excavation. Just the, like, what's an open party with an excavation? Sends you there. Done. That would be really advantageous, I think, just to get you going. Just to immediately just send you out. Now, you would be able to specify what you want to play, but I want to incentivize completely random, like just completely randomly searching, like with no restrictions, just hitting the star chart button. Searching completely randomly could net you a bonus roll on a star charter loot table that would contain things that you always want, such as relics. Say you get like various amounts of endo perhaps from that. Like, maybe you get, like, the good endo reward, because you just like, oh, I just randomly matched. What'd I get? I got an exterminate on Europa. Okay, cool, we're gonna complete this mission, and then I'll roll that. Maybe I'll get a relic, maybe I'll get some endo. Something that's always good for players. Something that you're, like, always gonna want. But, pointedly, not, like, insignificant rewards. Not rewards that players perceive as insignificant, such as, like, 1,000 credits. That's not a good reward that could incentivize them to not just search very specifically what they're looking for, like what type of thing they're looking for, like excavations only, go. Because like having those low amounts doesn't really incentivize that. The incentive is that you could get a relic or endo or other rewards that would take you longer from if you randomly match into, like, say, a capture mission. That capture mission, it might take you a minute to complete some capture missions if you're a particularly fast player. So completing that would be a good way to farm some resources, to get some relics, to get some endo, to get whatever else they happen to put in there. Maybe some very, very rare items that would really incentivize you to play it for a long time, like those 1% drop rate items that are not necessarily like weapons or things that you have to have, but things that would be very nice to get. And, of course, before you would jump into any mission, it would give you a little pop-up telling you what that mission is and give you the opportunity to change your loadout before jumping in. And you could say, yes, I want to join that. No, I'm going to decline that. Yeah. And, like, maybe on the full random one, don't give you the option to decline it on, like, the fully random mission, just to preserve it and make it so people aren't just saying no to, like, longer missions that are, like, defenses and survivals. Some restriction there to make it so people aren't just, like, only going for captures and exterminates and really short missions. But yeah, allowing you to switch your loadout per what mission you kind of roll. It's really important. So that would be a big thing to do for random matching, I think, is just to give you a button that just puts you in. It would help players that are just like, because like nodes that just don't get played. Like, let's just look at Venus. Like, nobody's on Venera. Nobody's here. Tessera ain't nothing. Like, there's some people on E-Gate doing Exterminate, sure. Pets of Vizures, there's obviously people playing it. Nobody's on Killican right now. Nobody's doing Cytherian. All these things, like, new players are going to be here. They're going to be here, and they're going to go through this and be like, I need to get to the Mercury Junction. I got to do Aphrodite. There's no one here. On this mobile defense, for a new player, that's pretty hard. A mobile defense can be very, very difficult for a new player. So aiming to put players in with them and to match people together on things and to, like, get more full parties, basically, I think is a worthy endeavor and would make the game overall more fun. Now, to put this into, like, the lens of what experienced players can do, maybe you've got every single node completed already. You went through and, like, post the star chart rework. It's like, oh, I finished off, like, all these nodes. Like, I've got everything done. Obviously, I haven't gone and, like, cleaned up my little, like, dark sectors that became nodes and stuff like that. Me, personally, haven't done that. But for those of you that have, I devised a system to kind of make it so that you can help new players. And I called it the veteran system as it stands right now. So the veteran system would stand alongside the star charting system, and it's in my design anyway, designed to help get experienced players into groups with new Tenno, and reward the new Tenno with knowledge, because obviously an experienced player that meets the requirements I'm about to lay out should be able to answer some general questions that a new Tenno would probably have. Where do I get this? Hey, where should I go for this? What should I build? Like, new stuff in that way is really important to have. Getting those new players to talk to veteran players and to ask questions is really important, and it could patch up the beginning of the game a whole lot from players just simply not knowing things. So, here's the requirements, this kind of draft that I have. I think this is, like, fairly reasonable. I think that this is actually a little bit lower than I might consider someone a veteran of the game, because there are people that have done way more, like myself, of course. But I wanted to make this reasonable so that a player could actually achieve being a veteran. So feel free to comment on this and let me know what you think of it. So the veteran requirements I have is 5 rank 30 Warframes. That's just experience with multiple classes. You can answer some like basic questions about, oh yeah, Warframes are really different from each other. That kind of thing. MR10, that's just, you've used a lot of different items. You've got experience, you know, like, what items are bad, what items are good. Like, a lot of the early game stuff you should have under your belt. You should know a lot of, like, the items that people would question about. And you've probably done some prime farming, stuff like that. I think MR10 is reasonable. I considered putting that at MR8, but I think MR10 is fair. 200 hours played. This is the one that I kind of went back and forth a lot on. But from the stuff that I see on, let's say, like the Reddit and all that, I feel like 200 might be fair, but it also might be high. And the thing about that is I considered putting this at 150. It would be like 150 if it only counts like in-game time, like your actual stat screen time. Probably like 150 would be reasonable. 150 hours is a long time to be playing a game. Like that's like the in-mission time, long time. 200 hours just like in chat and doing all this other stuff, long time. Lots of experience. Probably asked all the questions that you will like end up asking a lot of the time after 200 hours. You'll have a lot of the basic questions, all the basic knowledge. Should be totally fine to answer some questions from some new players. 80% star chart completion. I milled this one around from like 60, 70, 80. I decided on 80 because it's not crazily high, but it being like 70 would also be reasonable. And that's just like dedication to doing missions, more experience, obviously, lots of mission types, all that stuff. And then the final one, which I think is actually very important to this, is 1 raid completion. So with that, raids require a certain amount of teamwork, and usually they require you to participate in your team. And by that I mean like talking to them, like learning things yourself. Like being in the learning position is usually where you are whenever you first do raids. And like getting that perspective and like making sure you can communicate well and stuff like that. 1 raid completion I think does enough of that can kind of like hammer in like, oh yeah, teamwork skills. Okay. This player, we can tell, has reasonable teamwork skills. All right. I think that would be, like, reasonable requirements. Let me know what you guys think, of course. So, what veterans would actually be doing? Okay, so veterans participating in the system would specifically be able to search for and join MR4 or lower players. I think MR4 is about the time that you would be starting to be considered like a mid-game player. So I feel like MR4 is a reasonable level. It also, the gap between that and MR10, I think feels achievable to a player. Like just the 6 ranks, and it's like, oh, I could be a veteran. I think that feels really achievable, but that could just be me. Obviously, I love feedback, so let me know. New players with veterans in their party would see them marked with a veteran icon. That could be like in the squad, over their head, anything to let them know, hey, that's the veteran player, ask them questions. Along with that, a transmission playing to alert them, that like the new players, that any questions they have, they should ask the veteran. Perhaps Teshin shows up. Perhaps the Lotus is like, hey, that person's been around a long time, ask them anything you need to know. Things like that. And maybe, this is the far-fetched part that's in like the fucking fantasy part of my brain. Maybe the veterans could customize that. Maybe the veteran is like me and they've maxed out Steel Meridian, so the Steel Meridian leader shows up and like lets them know that, hey, ask this person questions, they've been around a while. That'd be really cool. It would let the new players like probably feel more comfortable asking them questions and stuff, which would be really good, I think. At the end of missions, only successful missions, new players would be asked to rate the veteran on a star system, 1 to 5 stars. This is just a reason, like, you can do it fast and snappy, just like you'd be like getting a relic. Like if you're doing a relic run at the end, it's like, oh, pick one of these rewards. It'd be just like that, just like rate your veteran. Obviously, only 1 veteran per mission to keep this very easy and simple for newer players. Now, we get into some more specifics of how those ratings would actually work. 1 to 5 stars would dictate the rating of a given veteran, and they would affect their matchmaking positively with higher ratings. So, if you have a 5-star veteran and you have a 3-star veteran, then the 5-star veteran would be given priority. It's like, oh, you're like doing better at this, so you should be in there. Like we're going to prioritize putting you in. Obviously, it wouldn't just be like the 5-star veteran is in and then like the 3-star never gets in. It'd still be like a timing based thing with like who's in line, but basically higher ratings would allow the veterans to go faster. So it would encourage you to do a better job as a veteran of answering questions and being helpful overall. Here's the thing about avoiding some toxic behavior and making it so that it's not like just plain as day what that new player rated you, to avoid like flaming, be like, why'd you only give me 1 star? None of that shit. All that shit has to go out the window immediately. That's just a thing that's going to happen. That's how communities work in video games. So I've already thought about that stuff. So veterans would need at least 25 rankings, which is 25 missions. Not ridiculous. Before they are given a star rating and their rewards are given. Ranks would also update every 25 players they help. This means that their aggregate rank and their reward isn't directly tied to each player that they help. It's over the course of 25 players, their rank can be adjusted. So you don't know what any of them rated you as. That's obscure enough that it's completely not worth your time to flame anyone unless you are a horrible person and you have like somehow you go down to a 1-star rating over like the average of 25 people, then maybe you shouldn't be in the veteran system. Being a nice, helpful player is, of course, encouraged with a system like this. Veteran rewards would be like veteran tokens. This is probably like, this is just a huge placeholder name, like ducats and stuff like that and all that. Some currency that you could spend. You would gain 1 to 5 tokens per student depending on your, as the veteran, current overall ranking, which means that after those 25, if you end up with a 4-star ranking, then you would get 4 times 25. At the end of your next section of 25, maybe you actually bumped up to a 5-star, then you get 5 times 25. And the rewards would probably be balanced for like the 3 times 25, like every 25 you're like averaging out at 3. So you could get your rewards faster by having a higher ranking, but like balanced for like a 3-star veteran, which is probably what most people would end up being. An average veteran, as you might imagine. These rewards could be turned in, or the veteran tokens could be turned in to someone on a relay, a new character we already know of, getting them on the relay, getting more people to go to the relays to turning tokens and stuff. And with the new veteran system, you could have it be like for cosmetics, maybe sigils, emblems, and then like evergreen rewards, maybe Exilus adapters are in there. Exilus adapter like blueprints. Don't know. Cosmetic stuff obviously is always welcome. Obviously, we always love cosmetics. This is Warframe after all. The end game is cosmetics for the huge majority. But yeah, that's what I got. The veteran system, along with the star charting system, I think could really fill out the star chart as it stands right now. Because I think right now, gameplay-wise, Warframe is really fun. Like, getting into a party with 4 people and just, like, doing a mission and just going for it, I think that's really, really enjoyable. The problem, I think, is just getting to the mission part. Like, you get in, and you're in your ship, and you're like, okay, I got all my gear set up. I got my Nikana, I'm an Excalibur, and let's go to the star chart. And you go, well, what do I do? Well, as a new player, you're a little more directed. You're like, oh, I was on Venus last time I was here, and I was trying to get to Mercury. Well, we should probably get to Mercury. We should do this Mercury junction and go do a thing. Rescue a hostage from Linnea. Let's click this. No open squads. Well, this would be a way to like help those newer players, get people in their squad. They already know what they're doing. They're just clicking the mission from here. Meanwhile, veteran players who have kind of just everything done could just be like, oh yeah, I just want to play some missions, click star charting, and just go for it. And then the veteran players would be like, yeah, I'm going to help some new people today. I feel like helping some new players out. That would probably just be like a checkbox under the star charting thing would be like veterans. I think that would be hugely helpful. There's space for it on the UI. I think we could definitely achieve something really good and great by making it easier for players just to jump into missions. But this video is obviously getting a little bit long, so I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Let me know all of your feedback in the comments, because I fucking love feedback. It's like one of my favorite things about YouTube. Any like restrictions that you think need to be changed, any like maybe things that are too high, maybe the 80% star chart completion is too high, all that stuff, anything you think I missed. And next time, probably sometime next week, we're going to talk about structured matchmaking and how that can be improved, because obviously this video is only for random matching and the veteran system helping new players out, which is also random matching in a big way. But the next video will be going over structured matchmaking, such as void tears, raids, key runs in the derelicts, all that stuff. So I hope you will join me for that, and I'll see you tomorrow.